All right, 5.2, bisectors of a triangle. All right, so a lot of these are like construction problems, which we're not going to do. We might go back and do that at some point, like if we have time next week or after break. I'm not sure yet, but just for the sake of time, we're skipping that stuff right now. So these first problems say complete the statement using always, sometimes, or never. So 10, a perpendicular bisector of a triangle blank passes through the midpoint of a side of the triangle. So is this always true, sometimes true, or never true? All right, who thinks it's always? Who thinks it's sometimes? Who thinks it's never? There's a whole bunch of people that didn't give me an answer.
I'm trying to look. I'm trying to look.
It is always. It's got to go through the midpoint of one of the sides to be perpendicular.
I did not do this for the day.
To be a perpendicular bisector because it splits it in half, I should say. 12. The angle bisectors of a triangle blank meet at a point outside the triangle. What do we think about this one? Always, sometimes, or never?
Never.
Yep. Angle bisectors have to stay inside. All right, 14. The perpendicular bisectors. This is not an always, sometimes, or never. This says in each case, find the indicated measure. Perpendicular bisectors of triangle RST meet at point D. Find DR. So we have a triangle. Okay. So they give us this information here, and they want us to find DR. Any ideas what DR might be equal to? Why?
Because all of these are parallel.
Perpendicular? Yep, so our theorem basically tells us that we have to have, let me write it up here. ds is equal to dt is equal to dr. And we know that ds is 9, so that means that dr also has to be 9. So that was theorem 5.5 that we used on that one. The angle bisectors. So notice last one was perpendicular bisectors. This one is angle bisectors of triangle GHJ meet at point K. Find KB. So this one is going to be a little bit more like the problem that we skipped at the end of the PowerPoint. So this one will be a little bit more involved. You won't be able to just like figure out what the answer is by looking at it. Close enough. Okay.
Yeah, bro, I'm so confused with the stuff.
Huh?
I'm so confused where to start drawing.
I would start with the triangle.
No. Nah, I did that. I'm talking about the lines. Because they're like all different.
Do the blue ones first.
So the reason they're different is because these are my perpendicular bisectors. These are my angle bisectors. They may or may not be one straight line all the way through. That's why they're in 2 different colors. I did them just like the book has them. My colors are aligned with the book. I understand if you're using a pencil, it's not necessarily going to look that way. But if you want to copy them in pens, you can do that. All right, so we're trying to find KB. So that's this value right here. Well, there's nowhere like CK isn't given and AK is not given, so I can't do anything with that. So that means I'm going to need to use some of the information that I have to find that. Now, I ultimately know that KB is equal to KC, which is also equal to KA. So my initial thought is, okay, is there another one of these that I have information that I could solve? Is there one of them that you see that I can maybe solve for? Easier. Yeah, KC. Okay, because since this is a right angle, I also know this is a right angle. So this triangle, JCK, has to be a right triangle. Well, what formula can we use when we have a right triangle?
HL. Like, wrong thing.
That's a congruence theorem.
Wrong thing.
Starts with a P.
Starts with a what?
A P. Or you can tell me what the formula is if you know. Pythagorean theorem. So the Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. That should have been in your chapter 1 theorem, postulates, formulas, stuff that you did. It was way back when. You should have briefly seen this in Algebra 1 as well. Right, like probably at the end of the year. So this is one of the legs. So this is a leg, this is a leg, this is the hypotenuse value. Okay. So that means over here, this is my hypotenuse value. Okay, it's opposite of the right angle. So I know one of the sides or one of the legs, and then the other leg is what I'm trying to solve for, right? Because that's going to give me KC. So I'm going to do 4 squared plus b squared equals 5 squared. So 4 squared is 16 plus b squared equals 5 squared is 25. We can subtract 16 then. So I have b squared is equal to 9. And then we take the square root. When we take the square root, we technically have plus or minus, but can I have a negative side length? Nope, so I only need the positive one. So b equals 3. So that means, for what I have solved for at the moment, KC is equal to 3. But the theorem tells us that all of them are equal, so that also means then that KB is equal to 3. So that one has a little bit more to it, but that's about as hard as they get. They're not too bad.
Are you always using the Pythagorean theorem to solve if it's an angle bisector?
Most of the time, because they're giving you right, because you'd have right angles. You have to have a right triangle to use the Pythagorean theorem. So it would only work in that situation, but that I don't see any that aren't right triangles within what they give you, so yeah. You could possibly need it for a perpendicular bisector as well, depending on what it's asking you for and what they've given you. But basically, if it's not something where you just know, like, they've got to be congruent by the theorem, then I would say then try Pythagorean theorem and figure out, even if it's like this one where it solved for a side that I didn't need, but ultimately I know, well, it's equal to that one, so I can just use it and find that one instead. So, and like on this previous one, they gave me that this whole length is 16, right? So R to T is 16. Well, I also then know that if this is a bisector, which it said the perpendicular bisectors meet at point D, that means that this has to be 8 and this has to be 8 because if I split it in half. So you may need things like that where you have to use other information that they've given you. I just didn't need it for this particular one. But I could have also used, what was I finding? DR. Well, I didn't really need to because I already had that one to know that it was 9, but I could have solved for it if I needed to. We're going to skip the proof. Because Harrison really wanted to do it for homework, I heard.
I hate you, Harrison.
Harrison! Just give it to him.
And
That's
I
the
mean
right
this.
word.
I'm like, and I mean
Just
this.
give the proof to him. Him
Why would you
specifically.
say that they're all, oh man.
The proof's not even on there. Yay. Give it to him
You actually
specifically.
scared
Put like
me.
HS
Yeah.
under it. Numbers.
I do have the proof done, but it's just kind of a weird one, and you won't have one like it on your quiz, so I'm just going to skip it. It's just proving a theorem. If you're just so inclined to want to see it, you're welcome to look at my paper, but I'd rather y'all work on this stuff right now and then maybe not have homework tonight. Tomorrow we're doing 5.3. Thursday we'll review, quiz on Friday. Tomorrow your theorems and postulates are done, so that's another reason for me not giving you the
What's
proof.
tomorrow?
Wednesday.
Do it.
There's 15 of them. Notice it says not on that one item up there for indirect proofs, I think is what it is. I can't read. Yeah. So make sure you pay attention to that. Your vocab is due Friday, the same day as your quiz. Okay? The quiz review is relatively short, so you probably will have time to work on your vocab a little bit on Thursday as well. But don't bank on waiting and then having to do all, however many words it says, 16 words on Thursday night. Okay? With a quiz also, because I want you to focus on your quiz, but that's why I told you last week about the vocab. Your vocab quiz is next Tuesday, so you'll have the weekend and then Monday night as well to study for that, so that way I can try to get your vocab books back. I'll be able to check them off while y'all are taking your quiz on Friday. We'll do one more section after that, and then we're going to test next Wednesday. Okay, so there's several things here back to back that can really help you or hurt you depending on how much effort you put into them. Okay?
Test next
Wednesday. And then when people are done, we'll start reviewing for the exam on Wednesday, most likely. You'll need to have, well, I'll tell you tomorrow. Most likely you're going to need to have all your old quizzes and tests with you. But I'll confirm if that's what I'm going to do for sure. I haven't decided for sure what I'm doing for geometry for the exam yet.